Okay, Donna, can you tell us anything from DOC's perspective? And in Wisconsin, just for people, when we say the Department of Corrections, we're really talking about community corrections?
Correct. Probation, parole, and extended supervision. The information from the Department of Corrections on the victim, Mr. Smith, or Mr. Williams. He was on supervision in January of 2013 when the marijuana case came before, when he was arrested on the marijuana case. A hold was placed on him based on that offense. He was not processed by the district attorney or charged, but he was revoked. He had a little bit of time remaining left. He had less than 6 months, and he did that in prison. He was released from prison, and he was no longer on supervision when he was released from prison. He had several holds during the prior time when he was on supervision for the offenses. He was released and warned on several occasions and given programming.
Did he have any dirty urines?
It looks like he might have had 3 dirty urines during the time prior to January of 2013. Those were counseled and warned. He was sent to AOTA programming, which it looks like he did not get to finish because he was arrested in January of 2013 for the possession of marijuana case.
And you said that he was max discharge, so that means that he was released back to the community with no supervision, correct?
Correct. He had no agent assigned to him because he had completed all of his time either between being out on the street or in prison.
And when someone just max discharges, they're just back in the community.
Correct. The Department of Corrections has no follow on them, has no authority over them. They're released and we don't see them anymore.
So would it be a good recommendation to say there should be some kind of notification to the police department if someone's max discharging back to Milwaukee, that there's some communication so the police department knows that somebody's coming back?
Yes, especially if in this case where they determined that he likely should have been a high value target. Had Mr. Smith been, or Mr. Williams, sorry, been determined to be a high value target, more than likely he would have been requested to be supervised at the district station, where the agents actually are housed at the districts and supervise high value targets, offenders who have made consistent contact with the department in that district. At that point, once he was released from prison, then the agent who was supervising him at the district probably would have let all the officers know that he was being released without supervision. Because we definitely would let them know that he was being released with supervision. He would be seen at the district. He would be given the restrictions that an officer and an agent would come up with based on his behaviors.
Okay, go ahead.
Stephanie, can you talk about any information from the Intel Fusion Center?
Sure. With the victim in this case, Williams, as Officer Savajan had mentioned, he was a listed gang member, and it appears as though there's an active case in ACES through the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Agency that not only included the victim but also other associates and gang members. That's an ongoing investigation. Also was brought up that the suspect in the offense, Smith, might have been involved in like a robbery crew. So the district reached out to Fusion, and our predictive analysis unit is working out a link analysis chart and putting possible associates of the suspect with other known individuals in the area that are known to commit these armed robberies. There's possibly some case management things going on, so the Bureau is working with the AGU personnel in District 3 to try to ascertain who those individuals are. So we're doing some link analysis charts regarding the suspect in the case and the individuals that he's involved with, and to see if there's any other robberies that have recently occurred that might be linked to that group. Also, regarding the Nivens hits, it looks like at the scene of the homicide there were 40 caliber casings and 9mm casings recovered. There were no potential candidates for comparison of the 40 caliber casings. However, there were potential candidates for comparison on the 9mm casings. It appears as though the 9mm casings that were collected at the scene of the homicide also linked to a ESPADU, endangering safety by use of a dangerous weapon, shots fired into a business, May 22nd, 2014. 13. That IR number is 141345732, and those same 9mm caliber casings also linked to recklessly endangering safety, referenced in IR number 141427924. So that's all been forwarded to the crime lab to solidify that identification.
And are there any suspects in either of those cases?
It appears as though there's some suspect information regarding that endangering safety by use of a dangerous weapon. Since the casings have matched, it looks like the Bureau is back involved again, and they might have a possible lead on that now. So they're working that issue, and the suspect description given in that other incident also possibly looks like it could be a similar suspect description, so the Bureau is working on trying to re-interview some subjects and following those leads.
Okay, so that was a great review. So a couple of the things then that the takeaways, the recommendations that we're going to make, the things that we're going to work on. Nick, you'll help us with the modifications to 105-91.
Sure.
Right, so we can look at expanding what's required to install the digital video cameras on the licensed premise.
Yeah, and I have a couple of aldermen that I think might sponsor legislation. Maybe we can meet with them.
Perfect.
Right.
I can't read my own writing. Kevin, you will, when the tavern comes up for renewal, you'll work with the community to get the message out so that it's not just a letter that we're relying on, but there's actually communication so the neighbors know that it would be important for them to show up.
Correct.
Okay. Ben, maybe we can sit down and figure out what would be appropriate for a risk assessment tool that, and we'd have to pull in someone from the IFC. Stephanie, maybe you can help us, so that we can develop the requirements for a risk assessment tool.
Yeah, I think we have to make it semi-standardized with specific objective criteria that would be used for each person.
Okay. Let's also look at developing some kind of a protocol for follow-up, so when there's follow-up that the DA's office need, we can make sure that there's an appropriate way to get it to the police department so that you guys can get what you need to charge your cases. Donna, let's look from the DOC's perspective when someone is max discharging. What are we going to do? Is there a way to notify the police department that they're going to be max discharged? It's terrible, isn't it, that I'm getting so old that I can't. So, Stephanie, you guys from the Fusion Center will complete the link analysis and look at potentially developing the rest of the individuals involved in that robbery crew, and follow up on re-interviewing potential suspects with the weapon that was identified through the NIBIN.
We'll just keep in touch with the Bureau because they're working that angle, so.
Perfect. And I think that's it. Did I miss anything, anybody? All right, awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. And some of you know that I'll be reaching out and we'll follow up on some of these. And those that we won't be seeing, I'll see you in a month. Thank you.